Give one more round of applause for coming. So you guys can introduce yourselves a little bit for us here.
Most importantly, I'm Alex Manugian, co-storied and amired. Hello also to Auditorium 6, somewhere on the other side of the theater. People who might still be there listening. Who are you?
I'm Nicholas Brendon. I did. I left for LA at like 4:30 this morning. And I've got body parts in here, so I can't let that out of my sight.
Yeah, and so Alex and I wrote the story together, and Alex, of course, plays Peter.
The darker version.
So since we do have that other theater, guys, just so you're aware, I'm going to repeat the questions the audience asked, and then you guys can go into your answers. I'm going to start off. If you guys want to start thinking about some questions, you mentioned in the other Q&A, and you talked about a little bit in the introduction, that there's a lot of improvisation here. Can you talk a little bit about the process that you went through with the actors?
Yeah, we shot this over 5 nights in my living room, and I just called up 8 friends and said, "Are you ready for an experiment?" And Alex and I had a very detailed treatment that was about 12 pages long. We took months and months to obviously diagram it all out and figure out the twists and turns. But the actors did not get a script. They got note cards each day that would tell them just what their character's motivation was, or if their character was supposed to tell a story. They would have no idea what the other actors were going to do. And that was the experiment, to see if we could shoot it without a crew and without a script.
So Nicholas, can you talk a little bit about maybe the challenges that presented, or
Process
how
of
you
it?
came about?
Well, as I was just thinking while I was watching it, it's really cool because I shot it, and then I saw it once before at the DJ or whatever, the Sunset. So, and now I finally get it. I didn't, it's like, yeah, absolutely. Because here's the thing, like the whole the Shorty and the Sky thing, I don't think quantumly. I'm like, no, that bitch is either dead or it's alive. It's not both at the same time. So even as I'm like relaying the story as my character's getting it, I'm like, usually I was just improvising, but I'm like, but Jim needed specifics. I'm like, Jim, just feed me what you want me to say, because I really don't understand what I'm saying right now. But yeah, so the process was, it was a lot of fun because I also didn't know how this thing ended. The first time I saw it, because I wasn't in those last scenes. The first time I saw it, I'm like, holy shit, this is good, you know? There was no script, so I was very pleasantly surprised. It was, I mean, God bless Jim and God bless the editor, because there was a lot of talking. Absolutely. A lot of talking. And it was neat just to have those 5 to 7 points that we had to convey it. And not knowing anything else. It makes you listen.
Absolutely.
And it makes you talk more.
All right, we have questions in the audience?
In the back.
In the back, yeah, go for it.
Can you guys talk about your relationships, the actor? Because like the actors had such great camaraderie, and you guys all seem like really great friends. Like, are you all really great friends, or can you just talk about that?
So the question is, did the actors know each other? They have really great chemistry and camaraderie on screen. Were you guys friends beforehand? Did you become friends afterwards? Can you talk about the chemistry of the actors?
They were only friends with me. They did not know each other. Although Nikki and Maury knew each other. That's about it. And Alex knew Emily. But mostly it was people who had not met each other, arrived at my house, and I said, "You guys are best friends from college. Go."
Are we friends?
Yeah.
All right, so
Who's your baseball team?
the Red Sox.
Oh, great.
Bonding over the Red Sox.
Yes, we're friends.
All right, there on the end?
This is probably a weird fucking question, but did you shoot chronologically?
So the question is, did you shoot the film chronologically?
Yes.
And obviously that's different than most films do.
Yeah, I wanted the actors, the whole point was for them to be in the moment completely, and if they knew what was coming, then that sort of defeated the whole purpose. So the whole plan was, what are the tricks that you can get, you can make to have the actors be completely in the moment, listen to each other, try to figure it out for real. Like there's a moment, I love it when they open the box, And they're all looking at me going, okay, what do we do now, Jim? And I said, you got to figure it out.
For the first time there was, when the door to nowhere knocked, we had no idea, like we didn't know that we were doing a thriller. We had no clue.
You didn't notice it.
No, it was, in the beginning it was a fun improv, you know? We're having, like, you know, it's a dinner party. And then boom, it just changes. It's like shit, you know? It's the whole... And then you have to, it's weird to hear people's objectives. It's like, it's like you are solving a puzzle as the actor and also as Nikki playing Mike. Because you're like, hold on, they're saying something I should listen to because Jim's giving them that note. This is not a comedy.
The great thing,
This is going to a different place.
a great moment for me that was fascinating was, you know, when Hugh and Amir returned about 2/3 of the way into the movie, by that was about third night, and the actors were so freaked out by that point that they would not let them back in. 45 minutes, I was trying to just let them work it out, and Alex and Hugo had to convince them that they were not going to kill them all. Nicholas and Maury especially were just, no way, man, we know. They're not coming in. We know something.
Like 6 of them ended up coming an hour
Well,
later.
yeah, if you really follow the movie, you realize they were right not to want to let us in. We actually were not the proper Amir and Hugh. There are 5 Amirs and Hughs in the movie.
Yes.
So there's a scene where your character is like found twice. Did your twin get involved, or
He did.
you just have a double? Okay.
So the question is if your twin was involved in the film.
I'm a twin. I have an identical twin. His name's Kelly. Yeah, he actually came. It was hard to get him, though, wasn't it?
That was hard.
He really was dragging his feet. They found him and they had my face, but yeah.
Which night of the shoot was that?
That was, I think that was that?
4th or 5th.
Yeah. Or did we do it in, no, we did do it on the original. Yeah.
All right. Other audience questions? Yes.
Yeah, could you tell while you were at the house that it was going to be a film? I mean, or was that something that kind of came up in editing where you realized, wow, this actually is working?
So
That is a great question, is whether or not we knew we were actually making a film at the time. Because, yeah, there was no crew. There was me, my DP, Nick Sadler. We were both operating cameras. And then we did have 2 sound guys sort of hidden in a back room because everybody was locked. And that's it. Our producer, Lena, who is here tonight, was running around getting food for everybody. So it did not look in any way like a film shoot. The 5th night we shot, we were supposed to do all the outdoor stuff. And we were counting on a completely black neighborhood. I'll let Alex tell this story because he likes it.
This is my favorite story of the shoot. We had our one day outside, and when we got there that day, there were signs all up and down the street saying, "Don't park here, we're filming." And I was pretty impressed, because that was kind of fancy for our movie, until we discovered it wasn't for us. It was for a Snickers ad.
And a Halloween one where they were using the neighborhood as all the kids, and there was like a bunch of horses. Like 4 horses running down the street. And it was the opposite. I mean, I've been in LA my whole life. I've never seen a production this big, and it happened to be on Jim Street that night. I've never seen a neighborhood that was so bright.
When we needed it completely barren.
Otherwise, bring it. I love horses.
Let me follow up a little on the initial question. If you could talk a little bit about the editing process and finding the film in the edit, and obviously, especially with improvising, that had to be doubly important to find, you know, a coherent storyline to go through.
Yeah, I did an edit of it that was 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. It was a disaster. And I got my good friend Lance Pereira involved, who is a big-time commercial editor, and he saved the film. He made it into a film. You can watch it without any sound and figure out exactly what's going on, because he's so good. That created a movie. We weren't sure. We thought we were working on an experiment the whole time until we showed it to a little test group of 10 people. And they said, no, it's a movie.
All right, we have other audience questions? Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Yes. I was curious if you could talk about the impetus to make a quantum mechanics movie, and did you develop the method of shooting out of the subject matter, or did you want to make a film that way and then sort of go backwards finding a suitable topic?
Yeah, I really want.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for the other theater, the question is about the impetus to make a film about quantum mechanics and whether or not the filmmaking process was informed by that, how much research you guys did, maybe you could talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I've worked on huge shoots, and I've always been frustrated by how long it takes to make a film and turning around and lighting it one way and lighting it the other way. So the objective was to do an experiment to see if we could get rid of all of that stuff and just shoot. And so Alex and I came up with the idea of, well, you know, we have a living room and we have some actors, so how do we make that feel like a bigger universe than it is? And so those limitations led to thinking about parallel worlds and quantum mechanics.
So essentially what you're saying, this is Nicholas Brendon, is that...
They can see us.
Oh, they can see us? I'm looking right at them. This is theater 6, right?
6 is leaving.
There's another Nicholas.
His brother is in the other theater.
So, it's crazy because this came out because you wanted to do an experiment, not because you love quantum physics so much. Essentially.
I
Which is
combine
backwards
two things that I love.
because a lot of people would then say, oh my god, I love this, but you really wanted to get the experiment, so it was about doing, so it's 50-50. It's kind of
48-52.
Yes, please.
If you had been there that night really in Jim's house and this really happened, every book on Jim's bookshelf would tell you how to survive the night.
We have time for maybe a couple more questions. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know the Josh Whedon shoot in his own house with his friends thing. Which project came first?
The chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
So the question is whether or not
Jim, actually.
Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing shooting in his own house happened before this, or if Coherence...
We actually shot a short of this like 2 years ago.
We shot the first act in 2010. So way before John.
But then we had to
Why didn't he invite you, by the way?
I don't do Shakespeare.
Of course.
I did it once at his house, and that's when I found out. I'm like, my character is like, why does it say my character false? He's like, you just died, Nicky. And I'm like, oh. I just don't, I never...
And that gave him the idea to do it.
To kill me all the time.
To do it without you.
Yeah, all the time, yeah.
So the answer is they kicked Joss Whedon's ass. We have one last question from the audience. Oh, yes?
When actors were playing the other thems, like, how did you let them know that they didn't know the stuff that they knew already?
Repeat the
The actors
question.
keep track of the different timelines of what they were supposed to know at one point and not know at another point.
Well, let me ask you this. Can you tell how you're feeling in the other theater right now? It's really all context.
When Hugo figured out that he was not.
Oh, yeah. Really, because everybody was learning this chronologically. There was one point where Hugo and I went out the door to go to the other house, and we're standing out there, and suddenly we realized, oh, we're not those guys who came back. We've never been back to this house before. So we were learning it purely by context, and the only reason you would adjust your character is based on how everybody else behaved around you. You always felt like the same person.
Great. Well, one more huge round of applause for these guys.